I guess the first question is, how do you come around into this story? So who were looking for this kind of stories, or how did that become a film?
Chloe went to Shui Hau, the little village, maybe 1 year before I went there. So she first came there to collect stories and to build up a relationship with the community first, until she found that it could be a good topic to produce a movie, and then she invited me to go to talk to 3 ladies. And I spent like 10 months there. And Chloe, how many months did you spend there?
Slightly more than a year before we started the film. So, if you got the fan, and then you see that there's this thing called Urban Diary. So Urban Diary is a website, and we collect stories. Most of this we collect, ordinary people's everyday life, and most of the stories we collected, they were in the urban area. So Shui Hau was the first time we went to a rural community and collect stories of the rural community. And it was our response to the government's plan to develop Lantau. And then we chose Shui Hau because it's quite remote. The village experienced 2 major interventions. One is the British arrival. The second one is the completion of the airport project. So the shape and the community network of the village remain largely the same as, say, 100 years ago. We also knew that there was a group of researchers. They are biologists, and because you can see that there's a beach outside the village, right? And then the beach is well known for its biodiversity. So this group of researchers, they went before us, maybe 1 or 2 years before we started collecting stories, and they were researching the biodiversity of the beach. So they actually produced a book about the inhabitants of the beach. So because of all these backgrounds, so we decided we should go to Shui Hau and collect the stories of Shui Hau. And then because our focus is on the human side, the cultural side, and then the biologists, they are on the biology, ecology side. So we're thinking that if people can read 2 reports together, then it will be the first time in Hong Kong. So that's why we went. And then after we went to the village, somehow we discovered that the villagers spoke, the elderlies, they speak a language that I don't understand. And then it took some time to break out that their language is Wai Tau Waa. For those who do not know Chinese, it means the village spoken by the people living in the ward village language. So, and I was surprised because we're discussing about the Wai Tau Waa, and Andre also thinks that it is a language spoken by people in the Yunnan area, in the northeastern part of the Hong Kong. And then Shui Hau is in South Lantau. So if you think about the geography, one is in the very north of Hong Kong, one is in the very south of Hong Kong. So I was quite surprised when I found that they speak Wai Tau Waa. So in the first place, it was not about making a film. It was really about finding out the language and then trying to do documentation. So we first went to Hong Kong U. We went to the linguistics department and see if they can help. And then it turns out that the linguists in Hong Kong U, they did not know that this part of Hong Kong, people are speaking that language. So for them, it's a discovery. And then, for the linguist, it's a discovery, then it means it's really a discovery. So we're trying to work together. And then there is this linguist, she's an Australian, and she's specializing on recording dead language, dying language. So she has this project in Nepal, recording a language that is dying in Nepal. So she went to the village for us, the three of us went together, because we're thinking about, at that stage, we're thinking about filming the recording, a linguist recording a dying language. And then it turns out that it didn't work because it's too much logistics, too much the coordination. Because the grannies, you've got to be have a very good relationship with the grannies, and then the linguist is new to them, so you have to build up the relationship again, and all those logistics. So eventually we decided, even though we don't know linguistic and we don't know Wai Tau Waa, and then we decided to do the film ourselves, and then that's why we choose folk songs.
That's very it's a good story by itself, I think. One thing I really like to know is how many people there still can able to sing that kind of songs, and how many?
There are two grannies that we have interviewed them in the film.
So
and
that's...
there's the third one, but we didn't shoot the ladies. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, she always fool around in the garden. There's another one. Yes, but we didn't interview her. So according to the grannies, there are 3 grannies who can sing, but they cannot remember. Yes, so the last songs about the birds for 12 months is the only complete song that we could record, as long as I remember. And every time we do interview with them, maybe they can remember, maybe they don't. Maybe they remember half, and then after recording maybe half of the song, then they suddenly forget everything. And we have to go back again. Maybe they're not happy sometimes. But when her daughter came, then she would be happy and she can remember. Yeah, that's the challenge of shooting grannies. Yeah. But as long as we know, there are only 3 ladies who can remember. Yeah.
Because the question, the reason that I was asking, because the original work that we're showing is by a Korean artist, Kim Woo-jin, and we talked, and she's coming back to do some shooting. But the question she rose is, she actually, I stumbled upon it, it's like, oh, as a Hong Kong person, I don't think we have any more folk songs left. Like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 4 folk songs that I can sing that can claim that I is from Cantonese, right? So what do you think, like, what do you think about folk songs now? What's the view on folk songs at the moment right now?
Okay, I would like to add a little bit to Freddie's answer. Well, the 2 grannies, so there are 3 grannies in the film. So Fong is the youngest one, she's in her 70s. So she can't sing folk songs, and she can't speak complete Wai Tau Waa. And then the 2 elderly, the older one, the 2 older ones, they can speak Wai Tau Waa, and they speak, and then they can sing the songs. However, because they come from 2, because the oldest one, the one who's been widowed for 60 years, she was born and raised in another village. She's from Shek Pek. So it's Shek Pek Reservoir. There was 3 villages over there. So she was from that area. So her folk song is different from the folk song of Shui Hau. So our sample is actually very small. For the Shui Hau folk song, there's 1 sample. From Shek Pek folk song, there's 1 sample. And then there are people who are collecting. They're doing oral history projects in Mui Wo at the moment, and then they were not able to find people, elderlies in Mui Wo who can sing folk songs.
first time I get to know about the folk song from Shui Hau was that I had some perception. Folk song is like a song. So you got the melody. Right? But after we get to know more and more about the Shui Hau and the granny's history, actually folk songs means, if you can sing folk songs, that means you are literate. So most of the grannies that we know, they're illiterate. They don't know how to write. So when they were young, if they could be able to learn to acquire the skills of singing folk songs, it's like a poem. It's like she can express in a very precise way to introduce about the hometown, introduce about human relationship with the nature, introduce about their history. So every time we are doing recording, they feel proud of being a folk song singer. And actually they're just reciting poem that someone taught them in the last few generations. Actually, they don't know how to explain. So that's why when you see the documentaries, both of our crew, her daughters, keep asking her why. And she will feel impatient because that's her, the time that she learned folk songs, how to use a precise way to tell stories and to demonstrate they're knowledgeable. And the background or the context of the folk song actually disappeared already, because they told us that the time that they sing folk song was when they're working in the land. So there are no more agriculture. And on the other hand, the folk song doesn't develop anymore. They don't have new vocabulary, they don't have new social network, so the ladies cannot remember because she thinks that folk song doesn't exist or doesn't have any more new updated meaning anymore. So she thinks that, why are you shooting us? Why are you recording the folk songs? Because the time doesn't exist anymore. So she cannot remember. She thinks that that's normal. And she thinks that people doing documentary or want to do cultural conservation doesn't make sense, actually. That's the feedback that we could get from her.
But they incorporate lines of singing even in conversations, right? Is that common that they do? Or
I think every old people will merge something from their memory to the daily conversation. Yeah, but we try to chase. We try to keep chasing. And then every time we try to ask questions, they cannot remember completely. But when they feel relaxed, they do daily conversation with you, suddenly they will sing. So the challenge for shooting Granny is that time. You have to spend time with them. So if you remember the scene, that two old ladies sitting together, we shot for more than 3 hours. Yeah, we just put our camera aside, and Chloe and the granny's daughter keep chatting with them.
yeah, digital is good, eh?
Yeah, give them food, keep chatting with them. Sometimes the labor pass by and will come and chat, and we have to be patient, sit aside and do recording.
So, but beside, it's interesting because I like the subject matters of the songs. Like before they marry, they have the married life. They have the life of working the land. They have also sea. Like they would talk about the sea, and they will also talk about the nature. That's kind of Is that all the subject matters that there is? Because I guess this is like very common for folk songs to cover that kind of objects. Do they have some very specific subjects for Lantau or their histories in some way or in a way?
Chloe, do you want to introduce some folk songs that we haven't included in the film? Actually, Chloe has transcribed and also published a book that all of the folk songs included in the book.
Right, some of the songs are very specific. Chang Zhao, that's what I remember. Because if you remember in the film, they quite often the Chang Chao keeps coming because for them their market is Chang Chao. The market is not Tai O nor Mui Wo nor Hong Kong Island. It is Chang Chao. So there's one of the songs is about the market in Chang Chao. I don't remember the lyrics very well, but it's about the hat painting, the hat painting a hat and then something like that. Very, very specific, including a shop selling oil paint. And then the bird song as well. Wrote many of the songs about flirting between men and women, and then some of the lyrics are quite daring. For example, if you remember, erotic, really true. And then if you remember, one of the lyrics, one of the songs sung by Chui Po, the oldest, right? There was this line, the song was about marrying a man, right? So I was quite shocked when I was doing the translation. So I think in the past the songs can be very direct. So that's I think the meaning of the folk song is really makes you understand how people live in the past and what is important to them. It's really because it's all about the daily life. So as Freddie said, many of the songs are fragments only. But anyway, we transcribed all the things we've recorded. So the songs not included in the film. In the DVD, we got another track for all the songs that were not included in DVD, and then we transcribed the lyrics. So there are 3 transcriptions. One is Wai Tau Waa. We put the Wai Tau Waa in writing form. And then, but because we realized when we are doing this, well, in the first place, we transcribed it in the writing form as well. Wai Tau Waa in written form in Chinese. But then we realized, even if we did that, the readers will not understand what it is about because the society has been changed so rapidly. So the way we're using language is very different. So we transcribed it into modern written Cantonese and then in English. So it's all in the booklet. So strongly recommend if you want to keep a record, that is a very good thing that you should keep.
All the folk songs that we have included in the film is that we could comprehend according to our common sense or our impressions towards the village. So the power relations between man and woman, we always have a stereotype about the agricultural society. So that's the song. That's why I could put in one chapter, for one chapter. And the other one is nature. It's a nature. But honestly, we could not understand the context of the 12-month bird songs. Even the grannies could not explain why do they have this kind of personification. I mean, why did they understand animal in this way? They describe them just like human beings. How do they survive? How the birds survive in 4 seasons? They couldn't understand. Even if we had to clarify the specific type of birds from 12 months, They have never seen some birds. They have never seen it. They just remember the words. So we have to consult bird watching society. Yes, but the knowledge that they acquire is different from the grannies. Especially the terminology that they use is from their encyclopedia. Instead of the folk songs vocabulary. So for some experts from the bird watching society, they know Wai Tau Waa. We know one expert, he knows Wai Tau Waa, so he could help a little bit more. He could ask his mother to tell us and chase some Asian Chinese words. And we could get to know more in the translations. But the topic about human being and the nature, I think, is very rich in folk songs. But people like us is quite ignorant about that. But the reason why we put it in the outro is that it's complete. It's complete, and the visuals could be, we could comprehend the visual as well. Yeah, we could comprehend the visual as well. So we think it's valuable, the last one, so that we put that.
So do we know what we don't know? Like, yeah, exactly, right? So, I mean, the song, like, because the structure of the song is very different from the other songs, the bird songs, right? The fourth and the fifth line of third or fourth line is repeat in a way that is very folksy. A lot of the folk song goes like this. Even that song on that wall is actually go the same kind of form, so it flips it. Flip the third and fourth line. So it is a very folksy kind of song. But do you think it is some song that is not, is from before they arrive in Shui Hau, or you just think we would never know?
No, I guess it's an unknown for a long time. Yeah, because the grannies don't know. You know, they just pick it up when she was young, so she has no idea how it came. And you can see the language is very different from the other folk song. This one is more, intelligent and more polished. So it's a myth. And then the thing is, for nearly all the birds, they because if you match it, we've working with the bird watching society for a long time because of this song. So we are matching the birds, because the granny's way of calling the birds is oftentimes different from the written records. So they have to guess. So for example, they show the pictures to the granny is this bird? And then they also check, okay, whether this bird comes to South Lantau at this period of time. And then for 80% of the birds, how they move, how they live, match with the birds that still go to South Lantau now. But then 10% doesn't match. So it is very likely that the song is originated from South Lantau. The 10% that doesn't match is not because it's maybe other parts of South Lantau, or the songs the birds no longer visit South Lantau because it was long time ago, and climate change and everything that affects the roots of the birds. Some of the songs appear in South Lantau are not, they cannot find sighting of the bird in South Lantau. It should be in the northern Lantau. So we don't know anything. You know, it's likely that it will be a myth for a long time. And the other thing is, if you remember the last lyrics, the last sentence of the song, it is about Taiping, Song of Peace. We have no idea what Song of Peace is. The granny has no idea what Song of Peace is. And then so I Googled, and then I found that if you use Tai Ping Go, and then or Song of Peace, you can find that there are Song of Peace in Taiwan, and then there are Song of Peace in Mongolia, and then there's Song of Peace in Okinawa. So they're all in the periphery, from our point of view. So I'm not sure whether these Tai Ping Go or Song of Peace are somehow related. People in the past, because of migration, they have contact, and so they have something in common. So that's why I think the folk songs are treasure trove. But then at the moment we know too little about them.
So shall we open the floor? Maybe anyone have any questions for the film? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chloe and Freddie. Thank you for the film, very beautiful film. Thank you for everyone for coming. Yeah, thank you.
你咁大。